Live show. So this is the part of the show where we just hang out for just a little bit before we get into the actual meat of what we're going to be talking about today. And really, this part is really just to give enough people enough time to kind of log in and get started with the show. But right now, I'm going to be solo today. Jane cannot be here. She's got some other stuff that she has got to take care of, so she cannot join us today. But it's all okay. We're excited anyway. Jane, you will be missed though, so you just know that. But before we even get into the part of the show and get the show started, I don't know what everybody else is reading. Feel free to share it in the comments. If I'm an avid reader. If you're an avid reader, drop in the comments a book you're reading. What is it that you're kind of into? What the topic is? What you're learning from that? All that. Share that, because we've got a good community here of people that I think like to read and love to learn. So be sure to share that with everybody. But one of the things that I'm currently reading, and it's from Mark Given, which was our last guest from last week, is a trust-based leadership. And I've been going through this book and doing the actual projects that he has us do. And I got to a particular chapter this week, and I was going to share a little bit about that before we get to the show. And it was really kind of just about regrets in general. And it basically, it's trust-based leaders avoid regrets. And he just mentioned something, and this is something I've thought about before in my life too, is I don't want to live a life with any kind of regrets. And I think by having that kind of mindset, it helps us to be able to push ourselves into environments that we might be uncomfortable in. So that way we're living to our life to the fullest. But in this chapter, he mentioned a topic that Bronnie Ware wrote, and it's what she says is 5 common final regrets in her powerful book, The Most Common Regrets of the Dying. So this is what she said, that the most common regrets of the dying was 1, I wish I'd lived my life the way I wanted and not the way others expected me to. Let me know in the comments if you agree with any of this. I wish I hadn't worked so hard and enjoyed more of my life. I wish I'd had the courage to express my true feelings. I wish I'd done a better job of staying in touch with my friends. And I wish I'd let myself be happier. So I think I relate to a lot of those. There's been times where I've walked through a cemetery and I've just thought to myself, how many people took to their grave regrets and things they wish they would have done if fear wasn't a factor and if things weren't in their way to accomplish those things that they set in their life they wanted to accomplish. So I kind of just wanted to start this off with, this is a live show, and we've had to do a lot of adapting in 2020. And this is an uncomfortable thing too. So it's all awkward, and you're live and you're engaging with people on text. You can't see anybody. I'm looking into a lens, but it's one of those things that you just want to do because you want to be there for people. You want to connect with people. So what are things in your life that's going to push you outside of your comfort zone that you can do? So, really, I just wanted to share that with you guys and just encourage you guys to don't live your life with any regrets. Anything that you think you want to do, start doing it now. And the challenge that he gave for this particular day was, what could you do to eliminate future regrets? So anyway, just take that, food for thought and live your life without any regrets. Answer that question. Deanna, thank you so much. Yeah, for sure. Living life for me, not to please others. Agree. I mean, it's so easy to get caught up in the moment where we're just living our life based on what other people want us to be or do. Deanna, well said. I totally agree with that. Let's see who else we got in here. We've got who's hanging out. There's my dad, Denver Gullett. Hey, Dad. And we already brought Deborah Rocky up. Hey, Deb, good to see you. Terry, good morning to you as well. We got Alice Wagner. Alice, good morning. Thanks for tuning in. And Gary, you are most welcome, my friend. Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in as well. We're going to have a good show today. So thank you all for everybody for tuning in. At this point too, if as we go through the show, don't hesitate to drop comments. Also, if you have a question for either one of the guests, just put a big Q in front of your question and ask. I love audience participation. So if you can please just drop some comments and we can bring you into the show and just make it interactive that way, that would be great. If you are watching this on the replay, basically we save the videos on YouTube and Facebook. If you are watching on the replay, be sure to put hashtag replay in there so we know you watched it. And if this is your first time ever watching the live stream, please just type new in the comments so we know this is the first time that you've seen the show. So I'd appreciate that. We got a couple other ones. Steven, yeah, there's Steve Robinson watching on YouTube. It's awesome, buddy. Chad Tyner, good morning to you, my friend. Deb says, hi, Alice, down there enjoying Florida. That's great. Good morning, Donna. Good to see you as well. All right, guys, that is kind of it's going to conclude our little hangout session here. We're going to get started with the actual show. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start the show up. Welcome to another episode of the Live Advantage Show. I'm your host, Adam Gullett, and I'm excited about today's episode because we've got a couple special guests with us. And the first one we're going to be bringing on is Stephanie Todd, and she is our agent and our coach down in our Somerset office. And she's going to come at you. We're going to talk about her life, how she got into real estate and all that beautiful stuff. And then we're going to transition over into our agent spotlight with Kristin Brown, which is one of our agents out of the Morehead office. And then we'll end with a segment called Coach's Corner. We're going to be talking about open houses and how to have great results from those open houses. Basically, creative steps that will be driving buyer traffic to your open house. So that's more specifically about what that talk is going to be about. So before we get into anything else, we are going to start with our special guest, Stephanie Todd. So let's go ahead and start that up. All right. So before I bring Stephanie into the show, let's go a quick little bio about who Stephanie is. So here's her bio. So as a longtime resident of the Somerset area, her husband and her knew that she wanted to raise her family in this town that she loves, Somerset. And she has been a licensed real estate agent since August of 2013. And she has served buyers and sellers in residential, farm, investments, and business opportunities. She is experienced in working with a variety of type of clients. And whether you are looking for your first home, needing an upgrade, or looking to downsize, she has helped clients navigate through it all. She is an active member and director of the Somerset-Lake Cumberland Association of Realtors. And she is also an active member of the 127 House of Prayer. And she's obviously looking forward to serving you and her community for many more years. And like I said before, she's also our coach in the Somerset office, helping our agents to grow their businesses and succeed in real estate. So that is Stephanie Todd. Stephanie, come on into the show.
Hey.
Hey, Stephanie.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Doing well. Thank you for agreeing to come on the Advantage Live show. Glad to have you.
Yeah, thanks for the welcome sign in the back. I really like that.
Yeah, that's good. You're absolutely welcome. So, you've been in this business for a long time, but you and I kind of go back a little farther than that. So, and I don't mind to share this story. It's embarrassing for myself, but so the first time I actually got to know Stephanie Todd was a clashing of bodies on a soccer field.
I forgot about this, actually.
Yeah. So I didn't really know Stephanie yet. We were still going to church together and everything, but we got involved in a church pickup soccer game. And in my aggressive, competitive nature, we were playing soccer, and I went for the ball and just took Stephanie out. Yeah.
I decided as I've gotten older that even though I love soccer, like a lot of people don't know that about me, but to me, it's the greatest sport ever. And but as I've gotten older, a couple concussions happened during that time frame. I got a fractured foot at one point. So then I was like, maybe I shouldn't do this to myself any longer, and I'll just watch it and enjoy it through other people. So.
And then you did a pickup game, and hopefully I wasn't one of the concussions, was I?
I don't think you were one of the concussions. I don't think so.
Okay, that's good. That's awesome. That's great. Well, that's how we first met, and just a true nature of her character right there. She forgave me for that, so that's good.
I forgot about it, honestly. So
forgive and forget. No foul. That's good. Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and jump into some questions for you, Stephanie. I kind of gave a quick little bio about yourself, but if there's anything I didn't mention, feel free to bring that up. If there's anything you would like to share before we get into the actual questions of the day. Anything you want to share before we go?
I feel like I'm a pretty open book, so I think you covered most of the bases. I can't think of anything that you missed.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, let's go ahead and get started then. So, Stephanie, here's the
Sure.
first question I've got for you. If you could be guaranteed one thing in life besides money, what would it be? What's the most important thing you've learned in your life as well?
Um, I would honestly have to say to just truly, honestly be a joyous person the rest of my life. I feel like, situations happen that are out of our control all the time, but to keep a joy mindset
Mm.
every day and to be a joyous person, be a positive person. I think we've all been around people that kind of drag you down emotionally and everything. And I just don't want to be that. I want to be the person who sees the positive, who brings joy to a situation.
Oh, that's good. That's good. It's interesting too. I was reading a book about that, how it's just a choice, right? I mean,
Mhm.
you can face every circumstance in life with two options. You can let it just dominate your thoughts and just get you down. And then again, going back to what we were talking about, regrets, it's like you could live in that moment, but being joyous and making a choice to be joyful in spite of the circumstances. Problems are going to come to all of us. We're all going to have major problems, right?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
we're guaranteed problems. Matter of fact, I would almost venture to say if you don't have problems, then you're probably a little too comfortable, and you're coasting. And, so problems come because you're pushing yourself out there into environments. And I think being able to be joyful in those environments, that's good. That's really, really good. Very important too, to be able to keep that attitude correct. It's
Yeah.
good. So what's one thing you wish you had known when you began your career in real estate?
So many things. Honestly, practical level, even like understanding the difference between KYR and KREC, knowing those kind of things. But even more so than that, I feel like is knowing the importance of boundaries and balance.
Mm,
I think in our eagerness, sometimes we just want to do everything for our clients. And I think it is an important lesson learned when we find what our true boundaries are. We can still be a good source of direction for clients, even if we're not the source itself of the solution, if that
oh,
makes any sense.
no, that absolutely does. I think that's the definition of a true professional, to be honest.
Yeah, I
Someone
mean,
that knows how to get the
I
answer.
feel like I should have known that a little bit sooner, and I would have saved myself a lot of heartache and even other people heartache. And the balance portion of it,
Mm,
I feel like, to make this a sustainable career and to really, enjoy what you do, you have to find the right amount of balance for yourself,
mm,
with family and with your work life and everything else, because it will get intermingled sometimes, but
mhm.
just finding your balance quickly.
So on that topic too, Stephanie, what are some of the ways that you tend to find that balance? Because I do agree. I think there's a lot of those moments where you know you have a plan, then there's always something that derails that, and then you get overwhelmed. And like, how do you keep your schedule from going crazy from all the other responsibilities? Not just even outside of real estate, like kids and family and upkeeping the home and all that. Like, what are some of the things that you would say, are good boundaries for agents to have?
Um, well, I know you've talked about this before, but the time blocking is
Mm,
is huge. Scheduling yourself. Like, um, I am more of the early morning person in my house, and sometimes I will get, things done around the house. And I think Steve actually gave me a hard time about this one time because I told him, I was like, morning is my time, to just be like have some time to myself. And I'm like, and I'll do laundry. And he's like, that's not you time. But um,
true. That's
sometimes I
true.
have to keep my hands busy while my mind processes. I know that sounds crazy, but I'll listen to audiobooks and stuff like that as well. It's funny, I didn't realize just how unbalanced my time was. And there
Mm,
was one time, and this was early on in my real estate career, that a client called me that I talked to multiple times a day, every day. Like it was just, I talked to him all the time. And he pointed out, he's like, "How do you do that?" I'm like, how do I do what? What did I do?" And he said, "Literally every time I call you, you pick up the phone. Who can do that?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, he's right." He could call me at 6 in the morning, he could call me at midnight. I would always answer the phone. And
Oh,
I'm not saying that
yeah.
that's bad, but
Mhm.
he even told me himself,
Mm.
like, this came from my client's lips. He said, I don't always expect you to answer. Like sometimes I just want to give you a message while it's fresh on my brain. And
That's
I'm not
good. That's a
expecting
good
you to
point.
pick up your phone at midnight, but I just want to leave you that voicemail while it's going through my mind. And it didn't dawn on me until that moment when he said that. And I was like,
Mm.
maybe I should set some boundaries. Like, that it's okay if I'm at my child's game to, put my phone on silent for a minute, during that time frame. I could go out when when it's halftime or whatever and, you know, call somebody back or something, but
Yeah.
just the balance of it, I
Well,
didn't
I think
realize.
that goes back to the being present too.
Oh, yeah.
The phone is constantly trying to pull us away from the being present, and I think that's kind of the main point. Is it can derail everything if you let it, and it really is about educating the consumer. I think that's great. I mean, that consumer himself realized like this is not even possible. How are you maintaining this? But I think that's the key. I think finding that balance, knowing that you want to be present in the moment. Those are good. Those are good boundaries to put in place for sure. For sure. Really,
Oh,
really
yeah.
good. So, to share this with us. Are there any resources that have really helped you on your whole journey, like that led you from when you got into real estate to where you are now? Like, what kind of resources have you relied on? What does that look like for you that might even help other agents out there that are kind of struggling to grow their business?
Well, and I'm gonna say something that is probably not really what you're fishing for from me, because I'm sure like the natural response is some great app or something like that. And there's so many great tools and all of that stuff. But
Sure.
honestly, I
Yes, sir.
have to say my most valuable resource is
Mm,
surrounding myself with very knowledgeable people. Uh,
I think that's good.
I feel like um, I try to keep a good relationship with people who are smarter than I am in a lot of areas. Um,
That's
and
good.
I try to glean from them as much as possible. You can learn a lot just by listening, I feel like. And but keeping those relationships, when I find somebody who has a good knowledge about something, like I want to be in a relationship with them because I feel like there's so much you can pick up from them. So I honestly have to say people are the
Mm.
biggest resource that I could possibly have in my arsenal personally.
Wow, honestly, that's perfect because here's kind of even where my mind is at on that too. A lot of times in life, we are friends and we have our close people around us almost by default, not because we chose them, but just because of the environment we found ourselves in. And sometimes it's okay to do a friend audit, if you will. Who is it that you're listening to? Not saying you disassociate yourself from them, but are those people helping you to develop the person that you want to become?
Mhm.
And are the people you surround yourself with also helping you to do that? And I think that's the key. I think what you just said is absolutely beautiful. That's absolutely true. The people you associate with is ultimately who you become. Don't get stagnant and just rely on the people you just happen to fall into friendship with, or be strategic in the people that you're listening to and gleaming information from. I think that was well said. Well said. So this next question. So what led you to become a real estate agent first off, and also to choose Century 21 Advantage Realty?
Well, Adam, I think you know a little bit of this.
I do.
So obviously, I feel like you tried to have this conversation with me for many years, and I feel like I fall into step with a lot of agents that I talk to. when they come into real estate. Like one of the biggest things I hear, I work with a lot of new agents, and one of the biggest things I hear them say is, I just love the thought of real estate for so long. I've toyed with the idea for years, and I just decided just to do it. And how you're even talking about living without regrets,
Mm,
even if it's a little scary, prep yourself, but
mhm.
do it afraid if that's what it takes. Um, because yes, I do think like going through life not doing something because you're afraid of failure is much worse than the regret of wondering if you would ever have success at it.
Mm,
Um, and that's the place I came to, honestly. And, it's like, I was told by you so many times, you were so good about lifting me up, and different people around me, like, why don't you do it? I think you would be really good at it. I'm
mhm.
like, okay, I'm going to do it. And then the Century 21 journey, honestly, um, I am an indecisive person in a lot of ways. Like every wall in my house is agreeable gray. Um, not so much because it's my favorite color, it's because I can't decide on anything else. Um, but you know, when it came to Century 21, what really um, was that final push for me, honestly, is I met with some of the leadership in this company, and I heard the growth. I heard the dreaming big. I heard the expanding. I heard about the camaraderie. And honestly, I was like, how can I not be a part of that? Like,
Mhm.
um, at the time, I was at an agency that was very stagnant. And you know how it is. If you're not pushing forward, you're falling behind. That's just the nature of this business and a lot of other things.
Yeah.
Um, but when I met with leadership, and I heard the conversation, I heard the vision for what was to come, I thought, and I even had a conversation with my husband about it, and he was like, you would be silly not to take this opportunity, not to, decide to partner up with this company. And so that's what my final um, that's what finally pushed me into doing that.
Well, and I'll add this on that, Steph. I think talking about you mentioned it being an indecisive thing, like you're kind of indecisive, but I would call it loyal and wise, because you're going to weigh those options, right? You're not somebody that just makes that quick rash decision. You approach your situation with logic and reason, and you use wisdom then to make that decision. And so when we were talking about, I was pushing to get into real estate, the what even solidified it even in my mind more that you need to be in real estate is because you're more hesitant in a way. You were thinking through all of the logistics of getting that license. Like, what does that outcome look like for my life? And so I see that as another positive for you. That is what makes you you. And the second part about Since 21 and the leadership, I totally agree. I think you could be a part of a company that is not growing. If you are not growing, if you're a stagnant company, then it's a dying company. There's no other option. If you're not growing, you're going the other direction. There's not the peak, the peak at the top of a mountain is very pointed. You can't balance there very long. So if you're not moving forward, you're falling back down the mountain. So and
Well,
also
and maybe I should clarify a little bit when I talk about my indecisiveness. I when I do commit to something, I've been asked to um, you know, be in different positions on different things before, and I am not one to make a quick decision on that, because I feel like I really have to weigh it out. If I feel like I cannot give it the job that it deserves, or if I feel like I can't give it my full effort, I really don't want to do it. um if I can't make that commitment and stick to it, then I
mm,
feel like that's a pointless commitment to make. So I do, even though I do call it indecisiveness, and I am, but even though that is the case, I just want to be able to stand by my word
that's good.
in all that I
So
do.
good. That is so good. Steve, so glad, Stephanie, you are part of our C21 family.
Thanks, Steve.
So the next question here for you. So, as real estate agents, we get to serve some really amazing people. I mean, that's really what we do. Tell us a time when a client just really solidified this role and just made you say, yep, I'm glad I'm a real estate agent.
Oh man, there are so many. And you know this, like I feel like every time we go to meet a new client, it's like, who's gonna be my new best friend? That's my that's how I kind of see it anymore, because I've become so close with all my clients. But I will say, I had a client that I had been showing houses to, and we found the one and wrote an offer on it. And that's when the husband and wife shared with me that they started weeping and talking about how they never thought they would be homeowners. And I was like, oh
Mm.
my gosh, you guys, this house is meant for you. This is a great thing. And then they also went on to tell me that they were the first people on both sides of their family, his family, her family, that had ever been a homeowner. Um, then later come to find out that they had only they never even lived in an actual house. It had
Oh,
been apartments. So I was like, my mind was just blown. And they were looking at me with all this gratitude of like that I just changed the world. And I'm like, no, I help you navigate something that you're doing for yourself.
oh, I
But I
love that.
honestly think they just needed someone to say, hey, why don't we try? Why don't we see if this is a road that you could go down? And I don't think anybody had ever pushed them to do that before.
Mm.
And the gratitude they had towards me was just unbelievable. And here I am. I'm just a slobbering mess, like just so overcome with emotion about it. And I felt like it's like, man, like what we do just is so impactful.
Yeah.
Um, it is a process that we guide people along, and it truly changes lives. There's professions that can say that, but I'm just glad that we're in a category that can.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I think that actually is, and I know a lot of agents that are watching are going to agree with that. Like, that is one of the best moments a lot of us agents have had, is that moment when homeownership became a reality for somebody that's never had it.
Oh, yeah.
It's an unreal experience. To me, it's one of those things you want to remember, and that's something you need to write down. If you struggle every day, just write that person's name down somewhere and post it when you're struggling, because yeah, there's going to be problems in real estate. We're going to have issues.
Mhm.
We're going to have things we're going to overcome. We're going to have to deal with people that are just very difficult and everything goes wrong. But it's those people that's the anchor. That is the reason you're doing this. That's why you stick with it, and that's why you stay true to real estate and you keep serving these clients. I think that's well said. Well said.
Yes.
So, Stephanie, as one of the coaches for Century 21 Advantage Realty, you're engaged with our agents on a daily basis, hearing their struggles, what they're going through, all of that. So what advice would you give an agent that is really struggling, to get their business from either beginning or just stagnant to wherever it needs to be, where they're wanting to go? What is some of the advice you'd give?
Um, ultimately in this business, we are all working for ourselves. Is my business, your business is yours. So however you choose, the effort that you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. But I feel like, especially with Century 21, we have so many internal things, tools that are already at our fingertips.
Mm.
So, one, I would say utilize what you already have. You have a tool belt full of things. We have lead generation tools, for example, that we can utilize. So, why not utilize the things that you already have? And it's sometimes that seems a very basic thing, but sometimes it's not always happening. Also, I would say to get involved in your community.
Mm. That's good.
Like there's so many different organizations, whether it is from your local chamber to charities, churches, all kinds of different things. Um, Find what your passion is, as if it's a charity, and run with it. Get out in your community. be a part of your community. Even I know all of our local offices, we do these big events every month. Be a part of that. I think sometimes it's, especially when things get stagnant, it's just not knowing where to go. And I think the big thing is just don't stand still, keep moving,
Mhm.
you know?
That's really good. Yep, I would agree with that. I think it's been a common theme in almost every interview we've had, and not even outside of the show, but with anybody, it's really this industry and what we're doing. It's always about relationships.
Always.
Um,
Mhm.
visibility trumps ability, right? Johnny Knight mentioned that a couple weeks ago, and it's so true. Being visible and being present and serving people and figuring out ways to get in front of people, you know, and I say this all the time, technology is meant to help you get in front of more people.
Yeah.
You leverage it in a way that helps you to do that. Take advantage of the tools and the systems that help you to do that. And that is absolutely good. Stephanie, one more question for you, and we call this our signature question, just because it really brings up some good stuff we can talk about, and really good sharing moment. But what is the one decision that puts you on the course to where you are now?
Again, another tough one. Thanks, Adam.
Welcome.
Um, um, Honestly, I feel like when I did say yes to Century 21, like I knew, like I said, when I was talking to the leadership at Century 21, I knew it was my choice, but it could be a pivotal moment for me,
Mm,
on, the direction I decided to take if I wanted to become the stagnant uh, fish in the pond, or if I wanted to grow. Um, and I feel like when I said yes to Century 21, and associating myself with Century 21, it became a pivotal moment for me. It pushed me out of my comfort zone in more ways than I can count. And but I just learned a long time ago too that you can't, just it goes back to even your opening statement about the regrets. Like, do you really want to do that, or do you really just want to see what the possibilities could be? Um, so I would have to say that probably.
I think that's really good. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of those moments we can look back where we've made a certain decision. I know that was a hard question because you're trying to find that one.
Yeah, I know.
And I know life is more complicated than that, but really there is a certain one that is a complete different life direction.
Mhm.
And I think you're right. I think that was absolutely one. And I understand the fear part of it. It's like when you're faced with those type of decisions where you're, changing career and you're doing all this type of stuff, it's like, wow, what's going to happen? All these scenarios come up in your mind and it just goes crazy. So, well, Stephanie, that was really, really good. A lot of good information. I'm going to prop up some things here. Christina earlier had said that is true for most of all of us new agents. And she was in reference to, planning and kind of trying to put boundaries up and those type of things. Deb Rocky had said, true, walk away, know when to walk away. Deanna had mentioned it is the best feeling to be able to help people to achieve the American dream. These are just
Oh, yeah.
validation for things that you have said. Gary had said, very good conversation. Thank you, Gary. And Butch Sizemore says, hello, guys. Hello, Butch.
Hey, Butch.
Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in, my friend. So, and Kathy Jones, good morning to you as well.
Hey, Kathy.
And we got Tracy Scott here as well. So, and Cindy. Wow, yeah, we got a good group. So, Stephanie, thank you as always. You're a true delight, genuine, heartfelt, great servant leader. Thank you for all you do for Century 21 Advantage Realty and for your clients, and being just an impeccable, forgiving person.
Aw, thanks.
So,
It's my pleasure. I've really enjoyed it.
yeah, good. And we'll have you right back here just shortly to do some discussion about open houses.
Okay, I'll do it.
Thanks, Steph.
Bye, guys.
Good interview. Good interview. So we got a few other people here. Davita Baker. I'm here. LOL. Hello, Davita. Gary says, hey to you, Butch. And Diane Butcher. Good watching too. Good to see you. Donna, yep. Stephanie, you are always a fresh of breath air. That's great. Gary, yes. Good. Awesome. All right. So that completes the special guest segment. We are now going to go straight into our agent spotlight with Kristin Brown. Really looking forward to having her on the show. So let's go to Kristin. All right. Before we bring Kristin in, we're going to give you a quick bio of Kristin and who she is and what she does. And so here it is. Kristin's goal is to bring a breath of fresh air to the Kentucky real estate market with savvy social media marketing skills, eye for design, and a warm personality. Her expansive knowledge around real estate comes from real life experiences as a full-time realtor, extensive education, and professional schooling. Kristin is committed to serving her clients diligently from start to finish and is prepared to stand up for and protect her clients' interests when entering into any real estate transaction. She specializes in residential homes and farms across Northeast and Central Kentucky. Kristin, thank you so much for that bio and come on into the show. Hey, Kristin, how are you?
Yeah, good. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Yes, good to have you on the show. Welcome.
I'm excited. I'm ready.
Yeah, good deal. So you're looking beautiful today, as always.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're most welcome. So before we get started with all the other questions, just give us a quick background about your life and how you ended up in the real estate industry to begin with.
So I fell into real estate pretty organically. You hear that from a lot of agents, I'm sure. But my family had rental property. They had flipped properties as I was young. I was tagging along to all of those appointments and all of the work that was being done. So HGTV was always on in our house. So watching all those great shows that everyone loves, it's not realistic, but you gotta love it.
I agree.
But I did start at the age of 20. 5 years ago, I got started. I obtained an associate's in business with a focus in real estate management from Bluegrass Community and Technical College. So I knew that was the path that I was going on. I just had to pass that course. So
that is awesome.
I went back to Morehead State, finished my 4-year degree. That was just something that to me was important for me to get done. And I actually, the day I passed my real estate exam, passed the first time, thank goodness.
All right, that's awesome.
But the day that I passed, I called Century 21 in Morehead and I spoke with Keith, our broker there. And I think the next week I was meeting with all of you guys and signing on. So been there ever since. I absolutely love it.
That is great. So yeah, so see that's the cool thing about it is you are already already in the real estate industry because you're parents, so you are already around it all the time, and you obviously had a passion for it because you went to college and took some classes for real estate. So that's really good. But I do find it funny you mentioned HGTV because that is such a common thing. Agents will get in this industry and think, oh yeah, all I got to do is show 3 houses and they're going to buy one of them and we're done.
Yeah, it does not work that way. I mean, I've shown people probably upwards of 16 homes and still they haven't bought. So it doesn't always work that way, but it's a joyous experience anyways. It
is. It's still a reward for sure. So what was it about real estate? We kind of went over this just a little bit, but what was it about real estate that interested you in getting a real estate license? Like what was it that particular thing that just drove you into the industry?
I honestly knew that after sitting through some business administration classes at Morehead State, I knew that a typical 9-to-5 desk job was not for me. It's not my personality. I knew that I wanted to do more, and I knew that real estate could offer that big life that I wanted to live. It offers so many lucrative opportunities. And of course, everyone says it, but just being able to help people. I am a people person for sure. So it's really fun for me to get out there and meet those clients and help them in that the big dream that they have.
Yeah, that's good. I agree with a lot of that. I think that's a lot of that drove me to the industry too. Not the 9-to-5 job. I'm right there with you. I have a hard time just going into an office cubicle and just working. I want to be out meeting people and engaging and connecting. And that's absolutely what you're really good at doing. That's why you had such a good success in real estate already. So, and I mean, that's the beauty of this job. And one of the best things I'll add to your whole point about, the way we operate and income and all that, there is no cap. Like it's how hard you want to work. And then what job can you think where you have this overall support everywhere you go to grow your own business? All these people invested in you. I can't think of another industry that has that. Can you?
No, I love the freedom that it brings. It's a whole lot of hard work along with that. But the freedom that we have to work from anywhere, we can refer people, even when we have friends of ours who are moving out of town, we have the opportunity to refer those people to other agents that we've built relationships with. I'm a relationship person. I love getting to know someone. I love just being along in that process, really. So it's been good for me so far. I love it.
Yeah, that's good. So what is, we'll go a little more personal here, but what is something that's interesting about you that others just might not know that you do that or have that or anything? What would that be?
I feel like if you got on my social media, you would see I don't really keep a whole lot to myself. But I would say when I was at Morehead State University, when I first started there, I joined on at the Kentucky Center for Traditional Music. So if you think old-timey bluegrass music, and I was playing in a musical ensemble there, and I sang, played guitar, and the banjo ukulele. I could not play you a single thing on that banjo ukulele. I have it in my living room. I keep it here. I was strumming around on it the other day, and it was not great.
That is awesome.
But it was fun nonetheless. It was a great experience.
So you basically did that segment and just learned like a particular song to be part of that, or did you actually learn how to play it and just got out of practice?
So whenever we started, I mean, you do a couple performances each year. They have public events and stuff that they perform at. So we practiced pretty much every day. It was like a class for me. They offered, I don't know if they still do, a degree in traditional music. So that's what I was kind of going after, is maybe a minor in traditional music. And then my course kind of changed a little bit, my life course. But yeah, it was really fun. Looking back on it, it was just a really cool experience for me. Really, it's something that got me out of my comfort zone. I got to meet some great people too.
Wow, had no idea. Music, yeah. That is really cool. And
banjo ukulele, it's like a mini banjo. It's so small.
That's awesome. Well, we got some friends that play bluegrass music, and it's funny. Bluegrass almost has there's certain people that just absolutely love it, or you're either or, right? It's I love it, or I just can't stand it. Yeah. But we've got some friends that play it, and I actually really enjoy it, to be honest. It's just something about Kentucky, right? It's like it feels like home.
Yes.
So
it's cool to watch somebody just slide their fingers up and down a banjo and just what comes out.
Yeah, getting after it. I mean, because it's crazy. I mean, they're going, every finger is working.
I was not that
good. Yeah. That's awesome. I did not know that. That's why I love that question. Learn a little bit more about you. That's awesome. All right. So what are some of the successes you've had in real estate, and what is one of your most memorable moments?
So for me, like starting out, I was 20 years old when I started. So I'm kind of in that first time home buyers age group. So when I first got started, you hear all the time that as a new agent, you need to work your sphere of influence. And that was so big for me. Every YouTube video that you watch is going to tell you to work your sphere of influence. That's what I did. So my first 2 years of real estate, my friends, my family, just acquaintances is what kept me going. And so now I'm watching all of my friends grow their families in these homes that I had the opportunity to help them get inside of and just make a house a home, pretty much. They're growing their families, they're getting married, and I'm happy to be there for that next transition as well, when the family outgrows the current house. So, and I've had some of those opportunities as well. So it's been really fun for me to be such a big part in that experience for them.
Yeah, that's really good. I would agree too. This job puts us in a position where it's not a superficial business relationship. We are actively involved with the people that we're helping to buy and sell homes, and we get to know them personally. And if you are a relationship type person, that is one of the best benefits of this job.
Yeah, I know Emily Hacker, she mentioned in her interview that it's really hard to walk away from that sometimes when the deal is closed and you're walking away from your clients. It's a really bittersweet moment. But you know that you've helped them make a dream a reality.
Yeah, that's well said. I mean, it is true. I mean, because you lose contact. You try not to, but you do. I mean, you walk right across that tape. You walk out of the closing room, and it's like, well, I'll mail them letters and I'll try to stay in communication, but I'll never see them again. The kids, next time I see them, they'll be my height and 5-10 years later or whatever. So it is hard, especially for people like to connect. So, go ahead.
But that's just me as a person, people person through and through.
Yes, that's true. Very true. So, Kristin, out of all the other brokerages and models out there, what was it about Century 21 Advantage Realty that made you decide to affiliate with us?
For me, I think the biggest thing was Century 21 was the only franchise brokerage in the Morehead area whenever I started in real estate. Number one recognized name in real estate for years on end. And that was just a no-brainer for me, honestly. I wanted to have the right tools, the right support systems to really get started in my career the way that I wanted to. And I did not feel that going to a hometown mom and pop agency, though there's nothing wrong with that. I just felt like I wanted more growth than what one of those agencies could offer me. And when I met with Steve and all of the leadership that was in the company, it felt like family. It was right from the beginning, I think.
Well said. Well said. I would agree with all of that. I mean, it is absolutely like family, and we're all here to serve one another. We're not the traditional hierarchy, big corporate companies. It's our mantra, leading by serving. That's what we're trying to do. That's what our agents do. That's what you do on a daily basis. And before we even get on to the final question, what I also want to mention is on that same topic. Kristin is also our mentor in our Morehead office as well. She is taking on the new agents that are coming on and helping them to learn the contracts and the whole process of getting into real estate. So, she's running her own real estate business, but taking time out of her schedule to also train the new agents coming on. So, Kristin, I really do appreciate you doing that and stepping up and helping with that. It's a testament to who you are and your character and your nature, and I really do appreciate that for sure.
I love that aspect of what I'm doing now as a mentor. You go through your real estate classes and you come out and you get started in the business and you're like, do I really even know anything about the business? Where do I start? First of all, where do I order cards from? What do my signs have to look like? How do I get clients? How do I get these buyers and sellers? So I enjoy being that kind of guide for those new agents, and get a lot of joy out of it as well.
Yeah, that's good. Love it. All right, final question for you, and it's our signature question. What is the one decision that put you on the course to where you are now?
I think just kind of ultimately deciding to take the risk, get over the fear that comes along with this job. You are building your own business. And at 20 years old, when I started, building my own business was like this big, scary thing. But I feel like just getting over that fear, really just diving in and getting started, doing all the recommendations from Century 21 and all those videos that you watch as a new agent, and really listening to the leadership that's around you, seasoned agents. I took it all in and just had to settle my brain that goes a million miles an hour all the time, and just do it even if you're scared. Amen.
I agree. So, Kristin, if somebody's wanting to get a hold of you and get in touch with you to buy or sell real estate, what is the best way that they can get in touch?
Always on my cell phone at 606-316-4141. My website is also a good place to start. I've got some great information there, some home guides if you're looking to buy or sell. I have some good guides there. So that is KristinSellsKentucky.com. And then, of course, by email at kbrown@century21advantage.com.
Awesome, Kristin. Well done. Thank you so much. And just so you know, Steve says, thanks, Kristin, for being a part of our C21 family. You've been there from our beginning in Morehead. I greatly appreciate you.
Oh, well, I am just as thankful, honestly, to be here.
Tanya says, thank you, Kristin. Great advice. Awesome. Kristin, always a pleasure seeing you, talking to you, and thank you as always for coming on the show. And we absolutely appreciate you at Century 21 Advantage Realty. Thank you.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you for having me.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, Kristin, she is such a jewel. She just knows how to serve, love people, build relationships. So you agents in Morehead, you got a good mentor there. So use her. So we got one more segment before we wrap up the show. We're going to be talking about basically the creative steps for driving buyer traffic to your open houses. So we're going to go ahead and start up that session with Stephanie Todd. So let's go ahead and get started. Hey, Steph, welcome back.
I'm back.
So good to have you on this segment as well.
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking in my head, it's like Stephanie is on like a talking tour. I think you're. So just a little bit of backstory here. She had a good success at some open houses by doing certain strategic steps to get people to there. And that led her to leading a company training session this past Wednesday at our 21 Squared training sessions that we have every Wednesday at 10:30. And so she was on there doing the training. So the agents that are with our company are watching now. So this will be a little bit like that. But this is for those agents out there that are not part of our company that just really kind of say, open houses, that you don't get anything at those, are worthless. Don't waste your time, all that good stuff. That's what we're going to talk about right now. So that's what this is about, right, Steph?
Yes, definitely.
So, yep. So let's start off with that right there. Let's just begin with the negative part. So in regards to open houses, most agents have that negative opinion about them. What do you think?
I couldn't relate. I've always loved them. No, that's complete lie. No, when I first started real estate, I would get so excited and plan these open houses to sit there all by myself and then have to report back to a seller that
worst.
no one came. And I thought I was doing all the things that you're supposed to do. I put out a sign, I put an ad in the paper. I did these things, and I would sit there, and I was joking with our crew on Wednesday and telling them, like, sometimes I would do a panic call about halfway through and call my sister or my mom and be like, you better get over here and walk through this house because I can't tell them nobody came. So that was my experience. So after that, I just started doing just broker open houses, which, are still good and beneficial in a lot of ways. Get some honest feedback. You'll get, somebody might say this will be great for a client of mine, but I found myself every time I was doing a broker open house, I had to feed these agents.
Yes.
I had to give a gift card giveaway. They were expensive, and as a new agent, I couldn't maintain that. So I kind of washed my hands of open houses. I just thought, I can't do this. And that was my stance for a long time, actually.
Yeah, no. So I would agree with that. I mean, that's been absolutely a lot of my experience at open houses, just like that. And the worst feeling is absolutely telling the seller. It's like,
it's the worst. It really is.
Yeah. And you're right. You try to get your family to show up. So on the signature, it's like, I had some people. Yeah, but they share the same last name as you. Yeah. Well, coincidence, right?
Yep. Small town.
Small town, it just happens. So before we get into like the things you're doing now, I bet a lot of the stuff you did back then is what a lot of agents are doing currently. So what was the things you were doing then that just was not getting the results? That makes sense?
Yeah. So I would, do a sign in the yard, and I would bring fresh baked goods, and I found myself cleaning up cookies, and taking them to the office so to get rid of them and stuff. And the ads in the paper, there was actually a couple times that there was a misprint. One said the wrong date. One said the wrong time. So, and even though the paper said, oh, we'll put a correction in the next run, if somebody just saw that one, then obviously that's not going to help me a whole lot. But I did those things. I would try to, send out an email to people I know, and I just wasn't getting the feedback. I just wasn't getting it.
Mm. Yep. Yep. And I guarantee you everybody's sitting there just nodding their head right now. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
That's me. That's what I keep getting. So, and then they quit doing them. Then they just say, yep, not worth it. I'm going to stop, whatever. I'm done. Right.
Oh yeah.
So let's move now into the new phase of Stephanie Todd's open houses. Like, what is it now that you are doing that you didn't do before that is now getting those results? Like, walk us through some of the key elements of that planning process that gets them there.
Well, honestly, even like getting to that process was a process in itself, because like I would hear about markets similar to ours that had successful open houses, and I couldn't wrap my head around it. And it was I was having a talk actually with Jane, and she and our coach in our Richmond office and trainer, your co-host,
Yep.
and she was talking about a few things, and so I started implementing some of those and adding to it a bit. But some of those include, and I know this sounds very basic, honestly, a lot of these are super basic.
A lot of
But
times things are basic, but it's just you don't do them because you just
they're
don't think
paramount,
about them.
though. They
So
are paramount.
they are paramount. Yep.
Planning ahead, like planning ahead as much as possible. If you know you're going to have an open house. We did go through a season, especially during the summer. Houses were flying off the market. I don't really know if you could plan an open house, because you would get something on the market and then it would be gone. But now that we're slowing down, I feel like we're kind of in that again. But a big thing that I do now, every time I know I'm going to have an open house, the first thing I do is I go on our local MLS and our internal Century 21 system, and I will schedule an open house, because it doesn't, there's buyers looking on every platform you can think of. If you add an open house to those internal system, it's going to syndicate just like it does all the information. And so it doesn't matter what platform they're on, they're going to see, oh, there's an open house next Sunday. And, take note of that. So if it was something they were kind of iffy about, they'll show up to an open house. It's not as big of a commitment as scheduling a private showing. So
yeah, and on that, if you don't have that internal system like we do at Century 21, and most MLSs that I've seen allow you to put an open house in there, but you can go to your Zillow, Trulia, and Realtor.com. You can go to those accounts and manually add those in. So we have a system that we put it in, and it just syndicates to a few hundred websites and promotes that. But as an agent that might not have that, that is an option. But that's what she's talking about there. Go ahead, Stephanie. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's good, because, well, in Century 21, we actually, every time we put in a listing, it creates a unique property website too. And I don't know if everybody knows this, as soon as you put it in our internal system, it even shows up on that website.
Yeah.
So, just one less thing that you have to do, but it's just a quick step. It doesn't take very much time. Another thing is, I like to design a flyer, and there's so many avenues to do that through. There's a lot of different ones in our internal system, even our
Brand Center and
yes, brand
even
studio, and even the property website. There's flyers that you can create on there. Canva is one I really like. But I do those for multiple purposes. One, I do put it on social media, including, I always try to utilize Marketplace. Now, I do put a disclaimer on all my Marketplace listings. In the description, I put that the home is not available for rent or for owner financing, because I
Oh, that's
always
good.
get those messages. So I try to put that disclaimer, but even the flyer that I make that my number one photo when they open up that listing.
Oh,
So
that's a great idea.
yeah, and then it's just easy to remove after the open house is over with.
Mm.
But that way you're not creating something separate. I tried that once and it worked okay, but I feel like adding it to the marketplace listing already, and then you can do a refresh, is a good way to go. And then depending on the property, a lot of this depends on the property. If it's in a subdivision, just walking the subdivision with the flyer and sticking it in the doors. So because people want to have a say in who their neighbors are. So they're going to, if they have a friend that's kind of been on the fence, they're probably going to say, you should just go to this open house. Wouldn't it be cool if we were neighbors? And then if it's more of a rural area, it may, I have one coming up that it is more rural America, but there's a local grocery store and beauty shop and these other like local businesses that have message boards. And
Mm.
so I put the flyers up there. Because in small knit communities, you see that a lot of these locally owned restaurants even and stuff like that.
That's a
So
great idea.
I try to utilize that as much as I can. Don't put it in people's mailboxes though, because
Very good point.
yeah, you can't do that. Let's see. Oh, signage is a big thing. I told you I put out a sign before, and I would either have a writer that said open house, and I'd stick it on my sign. I thought everybody will see it. It'd be awesome. But putting out your signs early is the key to that.
Yes. Yes.
So all my open house signs, I have, that have my name on them and everything. They all say Sunday 2 to 4. So I will set them out Monday before the open house. So it's out there as long as possible. If you put it out 2 weeks before, you might cause a little bit of confusion unless you have a special sign made up that actually has the date.
As the date. Yeah.
Yes. But and then directionals, of course. Jane, she did bring up, you might want to check with your city ordinances to see if that's okay in your area. In my area, it is. I can put those out early. And the day of, and it may seem, again, pretty basic, but I will put balloons on all my signs. The directionals, if there's multiple ways to get into a subdivision, I have balloons and a directional on every single one of those signs. Now I do clean up after myself. I go back
You don't
after
leave
the
the
open
balloons
house.
drooping and
If
yeah.
there's a kid walking around, I'll ask them if they want a balloon or whatever. But
Oh, that's a great idea.
yeah. But I don't, leave my mess, but I do try to put those out before the open house. Just to draw some more attention to it, because it could have even been, on somebody's normal route and they've seen it, but the day of, if they see the balloon, it'll catch their attention even more. So
That's good.
that's what I try to do. We've actually had agents invite bankers too to their open houses. One agent in particular, he had a lender who was like, we need to get together for coffee. We got to, and he was like, well, why don't you just come to my open house and set up?
There you
So
go.
if people need pre-approved, you're there. They can, any lending questions that they might have, they have an expert on site, which is, I think, is
Great
fabulous.
idea.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Another big, oh, sorry, Adam. What were you going to say?
Oh, no. Well, and by bringing in, someone like that and partner with somebody, they're going to bring their own pool of people too. So you're leveraging those people as well. So they're going to help promote it as well. So, it's open houses are not the field of dream, right? You just put a sign in the yard, everybody comes. Obviously there's some steps you got to do, but you're right. They're all pretty easy steps. It's just, you got to do them.
Well, and even how I do my sign-in sheets are a little bit different. I try to keep mine pretty baseline. I ask for their name, their number, their email address, and I ask them if they rent or if they own. And I will, through conversation, ask them if they are working with another agent. If they are, I direct them back to their agent. If they are not, then I know it's okay for me to go ahead and work with them as a client.
Very good point. Yes, that's a good ethical thing to do for
Yeah.
sure. For sure. Well, that's good, Steph. I mean, obviously, we can keep kind of going into this, but we're kind of at the end of the show now. So, but this is the thing: is open houses can be effective if you market them and promote them, right? But knowing where to do that. And so she basically just gave you all 11 steps on promoting an open house to get buyer traffic to the open house. I mean, that's 11 steps. After this show, we'll put them in the comments or in the description of the video as well, just so you guys can have those at your disposal. There's a lot of benefit here. Open houses are also good retention things for your sellers and also to help you get more listings. It's leverage. It shows you part of your marketing packages, especially when you get people through the door and you can give that checklist and the sign sheet to the seller and show them how many people you had through the home. That is a good validation for sure. Wouldn't you agree, Steph?
Oh, 100%. Way better than just my mom and my sister on the list.
That's good. That's good. Stephanie, thank you so much.
Oh, thanks for having me, Adam. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on, and we'll be in touch for sure.
All right.
Till
Bye. Next time.
Guys, awesome. I hope you've enjoyed this show. We went a little bit longer, but I felt like that segment was really good. We hear it all the time, open houses, right? They're worthless. They don't really do anything. But just like everything, it requires marketing. You've definitely got to market to get people to know it's available and know that it's being open. So those were 11 steps that she just gave you that, and just like she said, they're really simple and easy. But you just don't think about them. I know I'm guilty of that. I didn't think about a lot of those. And especially as technology changes, there's ways that you can, promote it even more. Think about Instagram and stories and, all the different social media accounts out there and all those different other touches and marketing avenues. So open houses can be a great tool to sell properties. So I do appreciate that. I hope everybody has had a great time at this show. I definitely want to say thank you all for tuning in to another episode. And we're looking forward to the next few weeks as well. We've got some really good guests coming on. We got Rhett Harmon coming out of the Century 21 Novus Realty Group down in Georgia. He's coming on next Friday. Then we got Brian Ellington, CFO of Century 21 Corporate. And then we've got Kyle Saboth. He's coming on as well. And then we'll have the guest after that will be Jared James, the infamous Jared James. So we've got a lot of good guests coming up and some other good content as well. So I look forward to connecting with you guys then. If you have found some value inside of this live show, please consider liking, subscribing, and ringing the little bell on YouTube to be notified whenever we go live. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you guys for watching and each and every one of the guests for coming and participating, even though it pushed you outside of your comfort zone. And until next time, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend and a good week. And we'll see you next Friday at 10:30 Eastern Time. Take care.